Hi guys!
Welcome back to our channel. This is Carolyn.
This is Shota.
And today, mainly I will be sharing with you guys 5 things that I find quite inconvenient about living in Japan as a foreigner. So before we start, just a quick disclaimer, I think that Japan is a great country. It's very convenient with a lot of things. To be honest, most things are really convenient, sometimes too convenient in my opinion. But I will be going to share, the few inconveniences I find here living in Japan after, almost 2 years. In general, it's very convenient, don't get me wrong. Let's get into the video. So the first thing that I find quite inconvenient about living in Japan is that there's absolutely no bins on the streets. Garbage bins, recycling bins, anywhere that you can throw away your trash, non-existent in Japan.
You have to throw the garbage away at the konbini?
konbini, 確かに確かに. I think it's either konbini or people carry their garbage home and they throw it away at home.
I've never carried a piece of garbage for an entire day.
Until I came to Japan. So I would keep a piece of dirty tissue or just a piece of garbage in my bag until I get home and I throw it away at home because there's absolutely nowhere to throw it away outside on the streets. It's very, very inconvenient, but I think that is why it's super clean in Japan.
I feel like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there are more bins on the street. Like when I was a kid, there were garbage bins everywhere, like Canada or US. But nowadays, there's no bins. Maybe the government started being like Japan should be more clean because we get more travelers.
I don't know, we'll do some research and if we find anything we'll put it here, but it's honestly quite inconvenient in my opinion. And if you think about it, Japan as a very consumerist country, people, there's a lot of packaging, everything is individually packaged. I assume that there would be a lot of trash created throughout the day.
That's true.
There's a lot of generated garbage throughout the day, but there's no bins to throw them away. Also a little bit fubenbi. Yeah, that's number 1.
Next.
The second thing I find quite inconvenient about living in Japan is that a lot of things are still on paper. Hard copy. I think a lot of people would assume that Japan is a very technologically advanced country just because, it's very bright, there's a lot of lights, anime, games, Nintendo. You would think that people are very technologically advanced, but it's not. A lot of things are still very much on hard copy. Paper is required for a lot of things. A lot of things are not done digitally. Even with a lot of official, let's say business related, government related things are still processed through paper.
We still use fax.
Fax machine is still a thing
Fax
here.
machine.
A lot of things are postal mail only.
Yeah, especially about government things.
Yeah, you can't apply things online. You can only send them through mail to your local kuyakusho. There's this thing called juminhyo in Japan. It's proof of residency basically. And if you need it for, when you open a bank account, when you start a new job whatsoever, you have to go to the kuyakusho to pay and print it out. You cannot even access it at home. Personally, I wonder, for business situations especially, what if you lose it? What if you lose a signed contract because it's on paper? Right? You don't save anything online. Sometimes I do think about that. E-signature is still not the main medium here when it comes to business. It's still signed. Everything is signed and stamped.
Stamp.
Yeah, there's this thing in Japan called hanko, and it's a personalized stamp. People use that instead of signature. I don't have it because I'm a foreigner, but Shota has one.
So that's why this new government department, it's called digital
Digital department.
Last year or 2 years ago, we started doing that. Still, everything is on paper. But it's getting better, I think.
I think a big reason why is because there's a lot of elderly, older people. They're not very familiar with
computer.
So digital systems.
So that's why it's very difficult.
Besides the fact that elderly people aren't familiar with digital systems, it's also because if they digitalize everything, a lot of people will lose their jobs. And a lot of those jobs currently are performed and taken care of by older people. So if Japan digitalizes everything, a lot of people will lose their jobs. But it is quite inconvenient, just saying.
Yeah.
Next! So the third thing that I find quite inconvenient about living in Japan is that a lot of places, restaurants, things in general are still cash only.
確かに。
それは慣れない。Even コンビニ specific things are cash only. When I want to pay for Mercari, it's cash only at コンビニだよ。
ああ、確かに。
When you
そうか
wanna
も
pay
ね。
for your 保険とか at コンビニ is cash only.
ああ、確か
And
に。
then I have to go take cash from the ATM and they charge me ATM fee.
それちょっとめんどくさいよね。
ちょっとめんどくさいよ. Like I have to get a bigger wallet for my cash now. Before, I'm very used to only using a card case as my wallet because I would only carry around my cards. But I realized that ever since I came to Japan, the condition of my card case has been deteriorating because I stuff money in between my cards.
Yeah.
Coming from another country as a foreigner, you would find that quite inconvenient. Especially in Canada. Like, remember when you're in Canada? Everywhere. You don't even have to use credit cards anymore. Everything was on your phone. You can use Apple Pay everywhere.
ああ、確かに。
So
確か
Apple Pay is not a thing in Japan. You have to carry cash around because you never know what's gonna happen. Ziggy! So the fourth thing that I find quite inconvenient about living in Japan is that banks and clinics, they close pretty early.
In Japan, everything closes at 6.
No! Banks close at 3!
Banks, yeah.
Clinics, they close at 6 is late, I think. Clinics close at 5, and then another thing is that it's not just that they close early, they also close during the weekdays and weekends. So just imagine the actual time that they stay open. And for somebody who works 9 to 5, it's really difficult to spare time to go to the bank or the clinic. Like it's very difficult to make it in time. You have to like either be late to work or, you know, take some time off to go.
Yeah, like half day off とかね。
Like there's like
あ
pharmacies also kind of close early depending on the pharmacy. But usually it's later than the clinic because you have to go to the clinic first and then go to the pharmacy. So pharmacies, they do close a bit later than clinics, but they still close pretty early.
Bank are after, they have to close at 3 because they have a lot of work after 3 o'clock. Maybe it's also like it's not digital. It says no digital things
That's
in
true,
the bank.
that's true,
So
that's
they
true.
have to do paper stuff after 3 o'clock.
Yeah, but still, you
Maybe,
know, they
I'm
should
not
hire
sure.
more people. And that is why a lot of salaryman OLs, they go to the bank during lunch break. めんどくさいよ.
Until what time the bank in Canada opens?
5-ish, 6?
How
3は早すぎる.
Clinic. Well,
Clinic は late, 7, 8,
Oh.
depending on the clinic. And they also open on the weekends because people get sick on the weekends. ちょっと inconvenient. I don't know, maybe Japanese people are used to it.
I've never felt inconvenient. This is how it is.
But for me, I was like, I don't have time. Next! So the last thing that I find quite inconvenient about living in Japan as a foreigner, and this probably only applies to foreigners, is that it is quite difficult for us to rent an apartment here. A lot of fudosan not very foreigner friendly, and it's not just fudosan, landowners as well, they usually are quite reluctant to lease the place out to foreigners. Even if it's a foreigner that has a stable job, makes good income, and maybe he or she has good proof that will be able to pay for the next year, usually the landowner is still quite reluctant to lease it out to a foreigner.
なんでだと思う?
Communication. あとは foreign じゃない?
う
Foreign. だ
そうだね。
から scary.
Not scary, just like the culture is different, right? Let's say you guys invite people to the home and then have a party. In Japan, if it's too loud, it's annoys other people beside the room. So maybe that's why they don't want to take a kind of risk.
They would much prefer leasing out the place to
Mm.
a Japanese person than a foreigner. So it is quite inconvenient as a foreigner to find a place here in Japan.
When we rent a place, we had to use my name for contract.
I think maybe it's easier if you're a foreigner and you have PR, permanent residency, and you speak good Japanese, then it's probably easier. But in general, if you're a foreigner here working in Japan, trying to find a place, or if you're planning to move, it's not easy.
Yeah.
しょうがない。
しょうがない。
いや、しょうがないけど、it is what it is.
Yeah, inconvenient.
So these are the 5 things that I find slightly inconvenient about living here in Japan. If you're just a tourist, perhaps you wouldn't really notice them anyways. But in general, Japan's very convenient, as I said in the beginning. If you are also a foreigner living here in Japan, please let me know what you think. If there are other things you find inconvenient or you feel like everything is just super convenient, please let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching our video as always. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And we'll see you guys again very soon. Bye!
Bye!